Welcome to an upload of Steel Talk and Iron Responses.
Right? Dogs! What's up, Will? It's your boy Niles the Guy, Key Life Production. Hip hop is real. You already know what it is. We here with the honorable, generous, good brother Herman Smalls. How you doing today, brother?
I'm well, thank you. I'm well.
Brother Smalls, man, I was in Harlem today working, and every time I'm in Harlem, I gotta come check you out, man. You've shown me so much just about Harlem and what this place means. I've been riding around with battle rappers, and they're showing me in front of the Black Theater, the National Black Theater. The National Black Theater. I'm passing there with a battle rapper named Mickey Fax, and he's like, "This is where Murder Mook and Young Hot battle." And then when it comes to basically battle rap, that's a legendary type of situation. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So just dealing with that and everything like that, I just had to start off just by saying, man, Harlem is a place where every corner, whether you know it or not, history has happened everywhere around here.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to say, man, we came out here to talk about something that's seriously going on right now. Mm-hmm. I haven't gotten a lot of information on this subject, but from what I'm seeing is the alt-right are out in Virginia with their chest out. They talking that talk. They're not caring how people feel. And it's a riot going on down there I've seen amongst themselves.
Yes.
White Americans against white Americans, going against, some crazy things about, how they can feel, about being negative towards black people and feeling like, hey, you know what, we're tired. We're feeling like we're being pushed out and we're not being heard. Just what's your take on what's happening? I don't know if you've done any research and if you could update us on what's going on at the moment.
I mean, this is still emotion. And that's the good thing I like about working with you, man, that we try to get as cutting edge as possible. So when people are listening to this whole story is still 24 hours by the time they hear it to 48 hours. So we're keeping our information to our people current. And they know they can come to us and get a real on the ground type of informing that they can't get with large media. So, the situation, I'm trying to wrap my mind around it. I delve through the media sources. They're there. I listen to CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, all of the alphabet soup. Now, do I accept what they're saying is truth? But even in their propaganda, you can see what pages they're on. And even you can tell your enemy or your opponent's tactics many times by his strength. His strength is usually to fortify his weakness. So if he's waving his hand vigorously over here, you really got to be aware of what's being done down here. So I will look and read between the lines, and then I balance and counterbalance, and then go to international news, which has its issues. But the BBC, another source. Again, can you buy everything they say? No, but counter. If you know a brother that speaks Spanish, a brother that speaks French, speaks some of those international outlets. So if you really want to stay informed, you got to have your network tapped into people on the ground that are going to truthfully tell you the situation. So what we have out there, this is the American white male being very clear about his newfound strength, his newfound right to impose himself again. We lose sight that the development, this American experiment came about through, this European males imposing himself in very, very brutal means to the Native American when they were encountered, and then we know the interaction with the African. So this dynamic of, this South, we are here to be very clear that we are the authority. Now look at the dynamics. Now there was this, again, finding it out, there was first a major, it was being billed as, I believe, Unite the Right. Mm-hmm. And one of the young, relatively young men, 30, I call young, I'm early 50s, so that when I say young, that's the time frame I'm rolling with. Young men, two names, I wrote them down, left the pad upstairs, coming down to be on Edgecombe Avenue, Sugar Hill, historic Harlem, but two young guys in social media coordinated this kind of collective of Unite the Right that had, these alt-right groups. The Klan was represented. There are these new right-winger type guys that are coming
Nazis.
Yes, straight up socialism with the banners. So those groups are coming together when they might have had little differences. They're saying, "Hey guys, you know, I'm paraphrasing or putting in what I think the mindset is. Look who we have representing us right now. We have an opportunity to come together, and step forward in a way that they may not have." There's footage I've seen in school, and it just looks so ancient. It's black and white, and you know, I've always looked at that, and I scratched my chin and like, you know, wow, that was such a crazy time. And it's footage of coming up Pennsylvania Avenue. I think upwards of like 80,000 Klansmen. This is like from the the footage has got over 100 years old, 1910, whatever. So yeah, it ain't recent. But it was here on this soil,
That's great.
hooded down, a sea of them, forming a big white cross that had to took 500 people. And we know what their history and mindset were. Everyone knows. But look how strong and how bold they felt to march down the nation's capital, and tens of thousands of Americans cheering them on. Now, how different from that than that Nazi Germany stuff that we see the hands up and we know what that means, but we're not clear that that same mindset was here, and that those people that in that footage, that their grandchildren right now or their great grandsons now, that might have had that generational mindset passed on, is now making their statement. So that was that group again. And what they did was they rolled up on clergy. You know, they rolled up in a way that was no accident. Because, and I don't know if this has been folklore, but it's been disseminated that some gangs were used as an initiation. You know, you think the initiation would be, you know, you find the biggest guy you can fight him, you win, or something that would show you as a warrior. No, some of them, the initiation or the part of the psyche of that individual, they trying to, if he'll do this, he'll do anything for me, that kind of allegiance in the gang, they'll send them to do harm to the innocent. You know, that's what a lot of this slashing stuff for women was coming up. Or they'll send them to brutalize a child. Now this is sick. But they say, he do that. So look at that now. It's
like New Jack City when they made Nino get high and then kill the young cop's mother, who ended up being the guy who's trying to take him down. So
that's what you have to show to be a part of the group. So this new young pack that they let loose, they went and they, with brass knuckles, with bats, and obviously with fists and feet, attacked the clergy. That, you know, whatever religion, whatever faith, even if you don't care about religion, you got, at least from the surface, the clergy, the religious, they don't come swinging nothing. They up in there praying,
attack the innocent.
Hands.
You can hurt the innocent.
Yeah, exactly.
It means you hurt
they'll lay down in front of somebody. They went right at them purposefully, stormed them.
That's called a statement. Making a statement.
Making a statement to all of you. We dogged them out like that. Think of what we're going to do to you when we roll to you. So that was clear. And in the news, it's like they don't know how to deal with this. And now the other chess piece, again, white male homogeny, stepping forward. Yes, this is mine again. The police force, from what I'm getting from the media, again, this is still their information. They were present, obviously not in the numbers necessary, because it was a major turnout for this. These white males came out for this. They came out in the tent. So the park they originally chose to have the protests, and no, they tried to get it banned. It was a court battle. They came right up until midnight before this event. So they said, okay, we couldn't block it. It's coming here. So they was in the church to pray. They said, oh, please save us and help us, steel ourselves for this. No aggressive act at all. So that is what was stormed. We really need to be clear about what's happening there.
If I could set a stage real quick, not too long ago, around I believe May, a video came out with Charles Barkley and Richard Spencer. Richard Spencer is the guy who basically represents the alt-right movement and things like that. And they had a national interview where he told Charles Barkley to his face, "We don't like you. We don't want you around. It's okay for us not to like you and want you around." He basically said, "This is how we feel about you, and we wouldn't mind if you guys all died," and said it happily and smiling and things like that. And Charles Barkley sat there and said, "What do you like? This is a new time. Like we don't think like that." And he's looking at Charles Barkley like, "Well, no, not everyone." And he's having a calm conversation about how is how we really feel about you. And Charles Barkley had to sit there and just look at him.
And Charles Barkley didn't have any kind of.
He just said, "I don't agree with this. This is a new America. We're all friends and family."
I get that.
He gave the whole, but it was like, yo, he's telling you. It's like he's telling you what it is.
Yeah, and guess what? You know, we got to stop having a problem with him feeling that way.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, they've been clear about who they are.
That's what I'm saying.
It's us that get confused
you're right.
want to dress them up as something else. Or do like Barkley. Oh, man, wake up. Yo, we all won.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
You know, I didn't even see it, but I get from you what he was trying to do. Now, but back, if we had a Malcolm on that couch.
Yeah.
Or we had...
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, why they put him with Charles Barkley?
We feel the same way.
Same way.
But think about the chess game.
We have never been able to live with you either.
Yeah, you're right.
You are uncivilized. And guess what? We're making our way to do that.
Think of the chess game, though. They sat Charles Barkley in front of him. They didn't sit down with Dr. Umar Johnson in front of him.
No, decoded. So what are they trying to say in sitting down?
Don't respect.
A sports figure instead of an intellectual.
Intellectual.
Yeah, of course.
And he's over here like, and I'm like, yo, come on, man. You got Charles Barkley defending this? Like, and so then now you see them moving and expressing themselves not now. Nationally, if Richard Spencer could come out and say what he says on ESPN and on national television. You know what I'm saying? So, in their mind, I could look at it as them looking at, you know, in a reverse way. Oh, Farrakhan does this all the time, and things like that. Even though we're over here doing it from a position where we're being beaten and things of that nature, and we have to. It's a defensive side. They're doing it. I guess you could say they're doing it from a defensive side because of the ISIS papers and what are
they doing from getting behind this, man? What are they moving us towards, man? And I don't want to get off into no major conspiracy theory, but you know, we know this dollar is about done.
The drop, yes.
They know not just drop through. It's fiat to the umpteenth degree now. The national debt could never be paid. Well, anyway, the only way they're gonna pull a plug on this thing at some point. And I think that they know civil unrest is coming.
Or they're creating it.
And the thing is, remember, under civil unrest, you acquire land. If a race war ever broke out, if they wanted Harlem back, you let people just get all out gunfire. As crazy as that may sound, if it flipped like that for a little while, people are like, no, never. It's happened here.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned
they've had race riots.
You mentioned the conspiracy. It's looking like it's systematic, designed to lead to a race war, and then when we can't control ourselves, they're going to have to come in and things like martial law are easier to come along.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's not just imagery like, he did that.
Yeah, it's more.
They're shifting, getting them ready. Stoking this one, shaking that one, and then again, the quotes. They were these white men through Virginia, a college state. Man, this is where
that's
you
nothing.
live.
And it was kids. It was younger.
And it's an open carry state. So you know what that could have been like? That could have really got chaotic. You got guys toting AKs legally. Everybody can have one. It was. I'm surprised it didn't become something a lot bigger. And maybe that was it. Maybe this was just testing the waters. And there was a Reverend Blackman that made some very interesting observations. Now, remember how militarized it was. When they came at us, when they had the half tanks and the, I guess, grenade launchers and full gear, and how they were so willing to impose when we were making our complaints known from the injustice of our young brother being shot and laid out in the sun. So when we moved in that way, they had no problems with shutting everything down. These groups, as the state authorities, other white males, stayed off to the side and allowed the melee, allowed that exchange, allowed those fists to be thrown. And barriers. I saw out and out real skirmishes, man. People getting knocked out.
Yeah.
The average protester today ain't going nowhere to scrap. Now, some people like scrapping, and they'll scrap wherever they are. But the average person is thinking about just carrying a sign, being vocal, and comfortably commuting back home. It's really moving to a situation where what is the next step? Are we prepared? If something really, if our communities were set upon in a really methodical and organized way, what real answer? Who's providing real answers for that? Yeah. What philosophy? What Kemet? What the Hebrew, the Moor, whatever you are. what is coming from your mindset that if oppression, not to say even though I'm Pan-African, not that I got the answer, I'm not saying I got something better than everybody else's, but I'm saying we need to look at this question because these people are organizing again. They're putting them, they've always had the militias, so now the militias are joining other, they're putting together a network.
And not only
and
that,
on a civil level.
Also creating the feeling of it, because by me saying that, I wanted to bring this in. What if the South won the Civil War? New show on HBO series called Confederate coming soon.
We were speaking about that. Yes.
And it says, can you imagine a world in which the South is a separate nation, slavery is legal, and another civil war looms? And it's the creators of Game of Thrones who actually created this series, and basically it'll be called Confederate, and it's basically talking about a third American Civil War. You know what I'm saying? So now
what the outcome of it could be.
It could be, exactly.
So they're already creating the narrative and the feel,
and the
just for exactly what you're saying within our reality.
Yeah, look at the mindset.
But the main question is like, where did you come up with that thought? It's like that thought doesn't come out of nowhere. Like I say, it's been planned for years.
Who created it? Who planted the thought?
Yeah. And I've heard said, and I think the first brother I remember hearing is Dr. Phil Valentine. You know, one of the original OGs.
Facts.
He started all this stuff up in here. I remember that started that we'd be here for hours. He was one of the first ones that said they've been planting stuff in movies forever.
Yeah, of course.
This thing about the black president. They was dropping on an airplane.
Yeah.
Folks were laughing that out. Black
Head of State, Chris Rock. It was a whole comedy.
So they prepared the masses for an imagery that they're trying to implant. So my thing, what are they trying to implant with that? So this stuff is not entertainment.
It's not.
You know, we sit back with our popcorn thinking, no, they working on the head, man, in ways that are going to benefit them and harm us. So we don't get to defend from it, either by avoiding it, or if you watch it from the mindset to get what they're really saying and know how to defend from it.
Right, to get the
and be tactical. And then clear thought with other brothers. Like, you got to have them. If you don't have brothers in your set that are strong in some thought process, this society, this system will pull you apart. So you got to have a network where you can build and discuss real information and real news. What do you think about that? Where can they take that? Now, black people, 2000, whatever, 2027 are technical slaves again. Not that we have a left from that here, from those who came over.
You mentioned, like, what are we going to do about it? Me looking at social media-wise, and, we got a fight coming up with McGregor and Mayweather. Everything now seems to be black versus white. They're painting that picture, and then you look at the comments, it's just... So I really don't know where we go, because when that day comes...
And even Mayweather came out of his mouth and said, this is about race. This is about black and white.
The guy called him a monkey, and so it's like, they're pushing the boundaries with everything. From A through Z.
Yeah, the sports entertainment arena, that's just how much of that is real and fake. Because they've been doing, but could this have been done? Even the wordage of, that kind of term. But they're trying to sell tickets, and they're going to sell more tickets because of it. But it does feed into the psyche. So this is how far is this going with? But they, you know what they do? They push multiple, like you said, black and white. It's not always that. There's a big push for some reason. I don't know what the ultimate benefit is, but there's an interracialism that's pushed heavy.
You're right about
that. I'm seeing a lot of ads with a white or black couple and an interracial child.
You're right.
Or I'm seeing an interracial child they're pushing that hard.
But
so now one is they're pushing togetherness and physical unity, maybe for their physical survival into the future.
I was going to say,
other, from power base, nope, you this, and we want to be that.
We want to be that, yeah.
So again, the chess, and if you don't understand that they send different messages different ways, you might get out of one and jump right into the other.
Yeah.
So it's just.
But like you said, I think it's more of they know that they're the true minority and they want some of that true melanin to be mixed in, and
I've heard that, and I think it was Dr. Francis Scott Wells. I want to start remembering which one of these elders or scholars hit me with something, because I don't know which one of you said. I think it was about the show about us being slaves later. When something hits you, it stays with you.
Yes.
So for me too, and then you own
that
it. It's like you own that piece of knowledge because you become wiser. Because that scholar gave you something that made you see everything else from that perspective in a different way. And I think that's so much part of our responsibility. Now, I want an image out here. I don't want to take too far off. I know you want to speak a little more about the show.
No, I wanted to talk a little bit more just about, what do you think, just what's happening in Virginia right now? I did a little research, and I just seen a lot of people saying what caused the fighting was Black Lives Matter, who came in and started disrupting their movement.
Okay.
And that's what caused. And Black Lives Matter is also, I don't see too many black people in Black Lives Matter. So from what I'm seeing, if there was Black Lives Matter people, like these people, so but it's still like the whole Black Lives Matter versus the alt-right. So it's like, I don't know, it's just a weird psychological type thing.
Sounds like they're building the narrative.
It is. It's and for me, it's how again, trying to decipher how just like what you just said. I totally accept that was the impression you got. But who's driving that impression? And I'm still looking at Black Lives Matter. And I, again, at levels, I know people I met on the ground, real brothers and sisters that's rolling with that kind of banner on, but they real brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Again, with the Christian and the Muslim, when I got a real brother and sister, what they into we'll deal with later. I know they real. So we're going to build from that. So there's brothers in there that are on that level, but then you hear about the money, where's it coming from? Soros and they're trying to demonize him. See, the thing, it's like Malcolm said, when they trying to demonize somebody too much, you need to see if that could be your ally.
Yep.
And if they trying to build somebody too much, you need to keep an eye on it.
Yep.
So how deep does that go? And I'll sit here, I don't know.
Yep.
And so I'm so leery I don't want to be falling into that trap. Have I accepted an image of an individual based on my opinion of them being maneuvered? So how else do you make a decision about someone? If you don't get a chance, we ain't going to meet most of these people. We ain't going to sit down in front of them and have a kind of relationship where you can assess their character, their integrity. We don't get that. So we got to make these assessments based on what we hear, based on
moves that are made.
Yeah, and so to not feed into it without having anything concrete. But you got to be aware. How else do you survive in this dynamic?
So, what advice do you have for like the people who are out there in Virginia who might be like living through this? Because sometimes we see a lot of things on TV. It doesn't even seem real to us. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll be on YouTube watching riots and things, and it's like it's not real. It's like it looks so far away. But one thing we don't realize, this could be our backyard. This could be us living in this situation actively right now. So what do we do when things like that erupt, or if it does erupt around us? You know what I'm saying? Do we get involved? Do we stay back? Do we just let them, you know what I'm saying? What do we do?
Fortunately, we have brothers in the community who do survival training, to the names I'm giving. Most folks know, Brother Aton, survivalist. He teaches you how to transport under civil unrest, how to reestablish yourself, should your credit card, money, cash, all those things that you live on every day, you don't have access to. So for those who already have had that mindset and have a little of that training, they are going to be able to navigate so much better. But for those who are unfortunately so locked up in the matrix, till literally they cannot eat a week if one of these stores went out of business, or if the plumbing was tactically stopped in their building, they don't have ways to detoxify. And I need to speak about subject matters related to survival under certain conditions, human waste, or how to recycle air, how to purify water. People hear this stuff, they think it's some MacGyver type deal. No, this is straight up, how would you get through not having the basic amenities that you're so locked into? So to answer the question, what did I say? Brother, sister who hasn't had that training, right now, if you haven't saved, the wisest thing, since this thing ain't national yet, and this is the way I'm speaking, because it could flip like that. Back during the uprising, 6 cities at a time were going up.
That's crazy.
I mean, this whole country was dealing with this.
That's crazy.
And they knew that. They said, whoa, how can we? So they divided it up. And they released news in certain ways. So, this guy who wants his power, he's going to figure, I ain't going to let you roll up on him too many times and think he ain't going to come up with a counter move. But I think social media is elbowing around that. So they're going to try some smoke and mirrors with that soon. It's coming. But since we still can communicate with each other like that, if you got a few dollars, since it ain't national, if you got a family member that you can bounce to, yourself, your kids, take away. If you prepared to at least, if not with some of the training I spoke of, if you at least got some resources. You need to be away from that, you and your family right now. And if you have not tactically organized with a group where y'all can collectively protect yourselves, it's going to, first it gets ugly. First, these people start saying things to you in stores. You know, remember there was laws here. You had to get off the sidewalk when they walked in. This is that mindset.
That's crazy.
You know, some of y'all forgot. That's what our grandparents went through. So don't forget this is that same man's children. And when that comes out, so how much of that you're going to want to take? You know. I mean, first it's the mother, man. You know, I'll be tired. I'm tired of all these niggas around here. They're going to start letting that stuff be heard loud enough for others of them to hear it. And you're going to start feeling uncomfortable in public places. So back, Hitler's Germany. You know, it starts with that overall aggressiveness, where they can publicly be disrespectful to you and not feel any penalty for it. So again, this is the beginning of that phase. If you got resources, you can bounce to a family member and ride this out. But now, look, you better have your passport, have your money. Hopefully, you've traveled enough where you have a connection somewhere else for what the next level might be. But for now, that if you ain't got them, just like in Louisiana, they talk about evacuate. People they had the research. They ain't got bus ticket money. And who are they going to evacuate to?
Yeah.
You telling people to do stuff they can't. So when that came in, that's why the death toll was so high. They gave instructions that couldn't be followed. And not that all the people was like that. There's some very affluent people in Louisiana. But the masses was suffering down there, man. You know, the people that died that was floating at the top of their house, you know, it wasn't folks doing well. You know, they was already just getting by. Yeah. So if you on and you can't bounce, you can't move, you know, you got to defend yourself. Have you studied anything to defend yourself? Like some of us are just raw for the wiping. And you know, my generation is a little responsible for that and not preparing you all better. So if you right now, you are feeling helpless, you know, we have to own a bit of that because our people should know what the system has in store for it.